Good morning, students, and welcome to another online biology classroom. Now, first, we are going to talk about digestive system. The digestive system is the system by which ingested food is acted upon by physical and chemical means to provide the body with absorbable nutrients and to excrete waste products. In mammals, the system includes the alimentary canal extending from the mouth to the anus and the hormones and enzymes assisting in digestion. Now, what is digestion? The process of breaking down of large food particles into smaller and water-soluble particles which can be easily absorbed by the blood plasma is termed as digestion. All parts of the body are involved in the uptake and digestion of food along with the elimination of undigested material. The alimentary canal is mainly referred to as the pathway by which food enters our body and moves out through the anus after digestion. It is a tube-like structure which starts from the mouth and ends in the anus. The alimentary canal plays a primary role in the human digestion and is also termed as the digestive tract. The main organs of the alimentary canal are the mouth and oral cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. Other than that, rectum and anal parts is also the other two parts of this digestive system. Now you see the diagram, please. It has been clearly shown over here that when we are intaking food through mouth, it will pass through the peristalsis movement of esophagus and then it will come to the stomach, and after that it will pass through small intestine and large intestine, and as waste product it will go out of the body from rectum and anal portion of our body. The next topic is the accessory organ of digestive system. There are three accessory organs. Number one is teeth, number two is tongue, and number three is glands. Tongue, as all of you know, tongue is a large movable muscular organ containing the receptors for taste sensation. Its 2/3 anterior or oral part lies on the floor of the oral cavity and 1/3 posterior or pharyngeal part remains attached with the wall of pharynx. Now the next one is teeth. A tooth consists of enamel, dentin, cementum and pulp tissue. The portion of a tooth exposed to the oral cavity is known as the dental crown, and the portion below the dental crown is known as the tooth root. You can see from the diagram everything you can see. See the first portion within the crown, enamel and dentine portion is there. Within the neck portion, pulp cavity is there, and within the root portion, root canal, gum tissue, cement, nerve and blood vessels and bone is there. So we have four different types of teeth, with each type serving a particular purpose for eating and chewing. 8 incisors, 4 canines, 8 premolars and 12 molars, including 4 wisdom teeth. Now you see the diagram. Any jaw, suppose upper jaw or lower jaw has been shown over here, any one jaw. So see the first two incisors, third one is canine, fourth, fifth premolars, and after that molars too. Now next, your teeth help you chew food. So this is the function of teeth. Your teeth help you chew food, which makes it easier to digest. There are 4 main types of teeth and each one has a different shape and function. That means we are talking about again incisors, canine, premolars and molars. Now, the dental formula for the permanent dentition in man is usually expressed briefly as ICPMM. I for incisors, that is C for canine, PM for premolar and M for molar. So the dental formula is 2123 by 2123. That means in the upper jaw, 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolars and 3 molar. Same in lower jaw also, 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolar and 3 molar teeth. Temporary or milk or deciduous teeth appear during the childhood of human at the age of about 6 months. These temporary teeth are duly replaced by the permanent teeth between the age of 5 to 10 years. The deciduous set consists of 20 teeth. The formula for deciduous dentition is ICM or PM, that is premolar teeth, is absent over here. So formula is 212 by 212. Now the next accessory organ of digestive system is digestive gland. Any gland having ducts that pour secretions into the digestive tract as the salivary glands, liver and pancreas is called digestive gland. So first, salivary gland. The salivary glands make saliva and empty it into your mouth through openings called ducts. Saliva helps with swallowing and chewing. It can also help prevent infections from the developing in your mouth or throat. There are two types of salivary glands, the major salivary glands and the minor salivary glands. Now see the diagram. Salivary gland ducts, parotid gland, submandibular gland and sublingual glands are there. So you can see easily the position of the gland in our mouth. Now the next gland is gastric gland. Gastric gland, any of the branch tubules in the inner lining of the stomach that secrete gastric juice and protective mucus. The stomach has 3 layers of muscle, an outer longitudinal layer, a middle circular layer and an inner oblique layer. You can see in the diagram, mucus cell means gastric gland. Within the gastric gland, mucus cell, parietal cell and chief cells are there. Now, as layer, mucosa layer and submucosa layers are there along with gastric pits. Next gland is pancreas gland. The pancreas is a glandular organ in the upper abdomen, but really it serves as 2 glands in one, a digestive exocrine gland and a hormone producing endocrine gland. Functioning as an endocrine gland, the pancreas excretes enzymes to break down the proteins, lipids, carbohydrates and nucleic acids in food. So first diagram is showing the picture of pancreas gland, which is divided into head, body and tail. Pancreatic duct is also there at the middle of this gland, yellow color. And bile duct is also there, green color, and the pink one is duodenum. That means pancreas attaches to the duodenum. Next gland is intestinal gland. In histology, an intestinal gland, also crypt of Lieberkühn and intestinal crypt, is a gland found in between villi in the intestinal epithelium lining of the small intestine and large intestine or colon. In case of intestinal gland, I have given you histological structures so that you can easily understand the intestinal gland structure. You can see the villi, goblet cells at periphery, absorptive cells also at periphery, Microvilli also at an index, it has been shown. So intestinal epithelium is also there, and the other parts, that is duct of Barner's gland also there. So everything has been shown in small intestine and large intestine lining. That is, these are called actually intestinal gland. The last gland is liver gland. The liver is one of the vital organs of the body, responsible for hundreds of chemical actions that the body needs to survive. It is also a gland because it secretes chemicals that are used by other parts of the body. So you can see in the picture, obviously the red one is liver, green one is gallbladder. So right and left hepatic ducts of the liver has been shown. Apart from this, cystic duct, common hepatic duct, bile duct, accessory pancreatic duct, originally normal pancreatic duct, tail of pancreas, body of pancreas, head of pancreas, duodenum, major duodenal papilla, and minor duodenal papilla also has been shown. But mainly you will focus on the structure of liver. So very simple structure. Hepatic right and left lobes of liver also there, which includes right and left hepatic ducts. Now we'll discuss about the role of digestive enzymes in digestion. Digestive enzymes play a key role in breaking down the food you eat. These proteins speed up chemical reactions that turn nutrients into substances that your digestive tract can absorb. So your saliva has digestive enzymes in it. Some of your organs, including your pancreas, gallbladder and liver, also releases them. Now, digestive enzymes are classified based on their target substrates. These target substrates are lipases. Lipases is a digestive enzyme. So, lipases split fatty acids of fats and oils. Proteases and peptidases split proteins into small peptides and amino acids. Amylases split carbohydrates such as starch and sugars into simple sugars such as glucose. Nucleases split nucleic acids into nucleotides. I have given this chart so that you can easily remember the enzymes and their target substrate. Now see the diagram carefully. A process has been shown over here. First one, number 1, the substrate sucrose consists of glucose and fructose bonded together. You can see the bonding, yellow color. Now number 2, the substrate binds to the enzyme forming an enzyme substrate complex. Number 2, it's binding. Now number 3, the binding of the substrate and enzyme places stress on the glucose-fructose bond and the bond breaks. Number 3, you can see the bond breaks between glucose and fructose. That yellow color bonding breaks down. And number 4, products are released and the enzyme is free to bind other substrates. You can see purple color enzyme and the products glucose and fructose, orange and pink color, they are free. And when before binding this glucose and sucrose with enzyme, you can see the structure of enzyme also. See the active site of enzyme which binds with the yellow color glucose and sucrose. So this is the total mechanism how the digestive enzymes binds with the food and to make it easier for your digestion in your digestive system. Now we are going to discuss about gastrointestinal hormones. That means role of GI hormones in digestion. So GI hormones are chemical messengers that regulate intestinal and pancreatic function, including the regulation of secretion, motility, absorption, digestion, and cell proliferation. These hormones are secreted by endocrine cells which are widely distributed throughout the GI mucosa and pancreas. I have given a diagram which is as well as a chart also for these GI hormones and from where they are actually secreted. You can see first from stomach. From stomach the hormones are secreted, growth hormone release, gastrin mainly. So and the other acid secretion and everything has been shown in the first box. Now second one is duodenum. From duodenum also the secretin and the other hormones has been secreted. It has been also given in the second box. In the third box from pancreas, the list of hormones given that are secreted from pancreas which includes insulin and glucagon, pancreatic polypeptide and the other hormones. Other box are also there. One thing you should remember, within the box the bold black color portions are hormone. And the other words, gallbladder contraction, gastrointestinal motility, these are the actually function of that particular gland. Now the last one is colon or large intestine or intestine portion. The last box, it has been given GLP-1, GLP-2 and the activities also has been given. If we will remember this box so that you can easily remember the total GI hormones activity in digestion. Now we are going to discuss about a very interesting terminology, that is peristalsis. Peristalsis is a type of movement of our gastrointestinal tract, or rather you can say esophagus. So peristalsis, involuntary movements of the longitudinal and circular muscles, primarily in the digestive tract but occasionally in other hollow tubes of the body also, that occur in progressive wave-like contraction. Peristaltic waves occur in the esophagus, stomach and intestines. Now please see the diagram here. Clearly it has been shown how the peristaltic movement has occurred in the gastrointestinal tract of our body. Purple color portion is the food. Like this, food actually, the food is moving inside our esophagus. For any doubts or queries, please email me at sudeshna1.sma@outlook.com. We also welcome your responses on the PPTs and videos at feedback.stmichaelsacademy@gmail.com. So thank you students and have a nice day.